the last video we printed hello world, and I said that print wasn't being used as a function. Now there are a lot of people who are going to talk about that sort of thing, but we're going to use it as a function. Now you'll have seen something happen here. When I typed this, I got this. So what is this telling me? So Notepad++ knows about the arguments for print and what it returns. So print is a function now, and functions usually return something. Now it's not always the case, but you can expect a function to return things normally. And where's it returning it to? Well, we haven't told it to return it to anywhere, because there's a load of stuff that we're not aware of, because this is just the very beginning. So we're going to ignore the return value, and that return value is an int, and we're going to talk about values and types down the road, very, very soon down the road, because you need to know about them. But we're going to say that the int is what it returns. It's an int, an integer. Okay? But for now, we're going to put it aside, we're going to ignore it, and we're going to say, okay, so the rest of this tiny piece of documentation says, okay, it's print, and then in the parameter values, which are always in these brackets, which right now are highlighted red, so that you can tell that I've got a bracket at the beginning and a bracket at the end, I've got a string. Now we know I've got a string, and we know I've got a string because I've put it in quotes. And every time you put something in quotes, either single quotes or double quotes, it's going to be a string. Now the thing to remember is that's very common in many, many programming languages. C++, C#, Java, JavaScript, Python, most anything you can imagine. So that's very, 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 very common. And so it's telling us that we need a string, and then the three letters arg stands for argument, and so we're saying that it takes one argument of type string, and the arg is a placeholder for the argument itself. So that the arg is a placeholder for hello world. Now understand this, we use a lot of this construction in programming. Yeah, we use things as placeholders, and very, very often in programming languages things have to have a type, and so that type often comes first, not always, but often comes first, and it is quoted, so you're told what type it is, so you know what the type is, and then you get a placeholder saying arg. And arg is typical, but once again in other languages it can be different. So when we're typing along, if I was typing this and I didn't really know what was going on, I'd type the initial bracket and I'd look at the documentation and then go, ah, that's what it's expecting a string. So therefore I put in a string, and typically I'd end the bracket so that I know what's going on, and then I put in our colon, which is what PHP needs to end a line, and I go back and I put in our hello world. Now this construct, this idea that you provide an argument to a function, is extremely common indeed, and you'll find it in nearly all the programming languages that are out there. In some way or another, every programming language can do this, and so we can have faith that this is the way that it's constructed. If you go and look at another programming language, it will be like this. And once again, we're running exactly the same program. I can just do up here so that I can get it again, and then I'll put it out. And if I change what is in here, save, up, run the program again, PHP space beginning PHP, it'll say hello everyone. So that's my 5 minutes, and we're going to move on to the next thing.